Hi, my name's Benji and welcome to Dice vs Cards. Today we're looking at Sentient, a 2 to 4 player mashup, if you like, of dice rolling, area control, drafting and set collection. In this competitive game you're playing as companies looking to be the first to be able to program newly created sentient robots, and the player that does that the most efficiently is going to take home the spoils. So let's see how this game plays and whether this could be the next game for you. So the object of the game is for you to be the player with the most victory points at the end of 3 rounds of play. Now each player is going to randomly take a left side player board and a right side player board. But it's only the right side that has a functional impact in the game. Here the player is going to start with one military bot. Now this combination means this company is going to be called the Capital Syndicate. Each player then takes 1 dice of each colour and all the tokens from their representative colour. We then need to populate the marketplace, or as this game calls it, the factory. So we place 1 of each investor token at the top. We then draw 4 bot cards and place them in between those, and then sandwiched in between that are the 1 victory point tokens up for grabs on each round. You then randomly decide the turn order for turn 1, placing player 1 on the top, the second player underneath, and so on. So each player on their turn is going to have 1 of 2 available actions. They can either procure a bot by taking 1 of these cards, or pass their turn to enable to replace the available bots. So to procure, you're going to place 1 of your agent meeples above the card that you want and place it in 1 of the 4 available spaces between dice in your network. So here you can see we placed an industry bot between these 2 dice. The reason being that to score the victory points in the bottom left hand corner of the card, we need to fulfill the objective here. And this is telling us that the number on the left plus the number on the right needs to be an odd number. So right now 7 is fulfilling that objective, but when we do calibrate a bot into our network, we also have to respect the modifiers in the top left hand and right hand corner. So here this would actually plus the 2 to a 3, making that 8 and obviously stopping you from fulfilling that objective. So what you can do in that instance is place 1 of your assistant tokens over the modifier, nullifying that effect and keeping these 2 numbers at 7. Another example over here, this card needs the left hand number to be equal to the right hand number. So when we subtract to a 1-sided die, we actually roll back round to the 6, and that's going to allow us to fulfill the objective. Similarly, if you plus to a 6, that's going to roll back round to 1. If you decide to pass your turn because there's absolutely nothing you want from the available bots in the factory, then you do so by placing 4 new bots in their place. However, if you're the first person to pass, you're going to place your turn order marker here on the board. And that means you're going to be the last player in the next turn. So play proceeds like that until each player has placed 4 bots into their network. And at the end of each round there are individual investor tokens up for grabs, but they're only available to those that have placed agenda or assistant tokens, which is another use for these, because every time you place an agenda token you can place any or all of your assistant tokens to help contribute to your ability to gain these at the end of the round. So adjacent to this information token, only the red player has placed 2 agendas, so they're going to win that information token. Here however we have 2 adjacent spaces next to this service token. So the red player's 2 is equal to the white player's 2, and the yellow unfortunately only is contributing 1. So we need to determine tiebreakers. So here we know that it's the player with the most agent tokens that is going to win. So the 2 agents for the red player is going to beat the 1 agent for the white player, so they're also going to gain this service token. However, there is a second place prize in the form of this 1 victory point, and that's obviously then going to go to the white player here. So play continues like that through 3 rounds, and then we get to the end game scoring, and that's done by multiplying the number of bots of each type by the number of investor tokens of the same type that we've collected throughout the game. So let's just say a player had got 3 information bots and 3 information investor tokens throughout the game. That's going to be 3 multiplied by 3, giving you 9 victory points. You then add up the total for each bot type to the victory points that you've accrued by programming bots throughout the game. The person with the most victory points is then the winner. So that's how this game plays. Let's see what I thought of it. So who is this game for? Well, it's light to medium weight, but it probably falls just outside the gateway category. However, it would act as a good introduction to the multiple different mechanics that are on display here. So if you like to engage that brain and you like to crunch those numbers, then there's probably going to be something here for you. You might want to consider this if you liked Artifacts Inc., published by Red Raven Games, or Rome, Rise to Power, published by Golden Egg Games. So in terms of gameplay, well, there's nothing unnecessary or bloated here. These are some of the tightest mechanics that I've ever come across. For example, a lesser game would take that 1 assistant type and break it down into 2. But here you've got to choose between calibrating a bot or looking to secure investors, which makes for more complex decisions. Each player on their turns can have a primary choice in terms of what bot they select, and obviously by extension what investor they're looking to secure, but also a secondary choice in how they place their bot and when they decide to pass, because if you do that too early, you're never going to get the opportunity to go first. It's kind of like threading the needle in that regard, and offers an appropriate level of brain teasing. The fact that each corporation starts with its own mini head start in terms of what types of bot you're looking to procure means that you're more often than not just going to be pursuing your own game plan and not unnecessarily trying to sabotage your opponents. Yes, you can tread on other people's toes with the choices you make, but that's going to be by a happy accident rather than intentional design. In terms of game speed, the fact that there's only really one extended choice for each player in terms of what bot they procure and where they place it means that although that choice might take a little while, it's going to quickly allow you to pass to the next player. And game length over the 3 rounds is pretty much spot on, allowing you to fulfill whatever game plan you might have had. So as you can see, I've got very little to say that's critical about the gameplay here. They pretty much just have got it spot on. So in terms of the look and feel and theme of the game, well, production quality is excellent across the board. All the components are well made and it has a nice well polished science fiction vibe to it. Now to my real only gripe about the whole game. The factory and the way it's laid out can get really troublesome. They get knocked too easily. So one of my main recommendations would have been to put an insert for that factory so that everything stays where it needs to be whilst still retaining the ability to easily pick cards out. But the fact that that's pretty much my only gripe about the whole game means we're on to a winner here. The theme is what it is. I like the fact that it does implement well into how you calibrate the bot and how you manipulate the dice. That is done well, but other than that, it's a fairly straightforward theme that's been pasted on here. So with all that being said, Dice vs Cards are going to give a final score to this fantastic game of 9 out of 10. Now although this level of or depth of gameplay might not be for everyone, I can't see how I can give a lesser score considering how well designed and how well implemented the gameplay is here. So that's it from me. I'll see you next time.